Can you type in the chat and let me know what's going on if you need help with anything? Gerald, can you hear me? Can you type me a chat to confirm? Well, we can see your screen, David, so that's good. I see. Okay. Well, that's fine. How are you? Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Okay, I don't know what was going on there. It wasn't letting me log in with the numbers.
Okay.
But I got it. I'm here, and we are pretty well ready to go.
Can you get rid of your computer menu, your desktop menu?
How do you do that?
Well, the easiest way to do it is by taking the going to the GoToWebinar control bar, and where it says Show My Screen right now, pop up that pop-up. There's a little down arrow next to Screen. No, not there. In the GoToWebinar control panel on the right side. Not there.
Go to. Okay, got it over here.
Yeah.
Okay,
See that?
that's to show.
See that blue play arrow? Right down below it says Show My, and then there's a little pop-up that says Screen. With
Yeah, Screen. Yeah,
down
right
arrow.
here.
So click on that down arrow, and then select just the PowerPoint application on that from that list.
Just this one, I assume. Okay. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Only problem is now I can't start the thing.
Why not?
Because it's not showing me the thing to press the button.
Oh, on GoToWebinar. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. I can start that when we're ready to start.
Okay.
Let's make sure
And
that
I can't look at questions. I can't look at anything. That's actually not a good way to do this.
Okay. Then what you need to do is click Escape. Hit the Escape key, and go in your PowerPoint software. Go to the slideshow menu and go to Set Up Show.
Yep.
And click on the top left, Show Type. Click Browsed by an Individual window, and then uncheck the check mark on Show Scroll Bar.
Got it.
And now come back to Slideshow, View Show.
It's showing the slide bar.
Pardon me, what does it do?
It's still showing it.
Showing what?
Let me see if I can do that. There we go. It's still showing my audience view is right now set up show. How do I get that off?
What are you on there? What's going on? Hit Escape real quick.
I did.
Okay, on that dialog there, I can tell that the top mode is selected on the top left, not the second one down.
Where are you showing that?
I don't know.
Slideshow. From current slide.
Okay, you must have messed up the show my
It says
setting
show my application.
on the GoToWebinar.
Show my screen.
Go back to that and show the PowerPoint application.
That's
There you
go. The only problem is I can't get rid of this bottom thing. There should be a way to hide that.
Well, let's see here. If you zoom out, I mean, what do you click here? Click that on the top right next to the closing X on the top right, further to the right, further to the right. There, a little bit to the left. Don't click the X. Click that.
Oh yeah.
That,
Unlock control panel from screen.
Click that sizing icon.
Yeah, I did. All it is unlock control panel from the screen. There should be a button for down here. There should be a way to hide this down here.
Well, but that's not really what we want. We're going to have your stuff. What we want is, right now we're seeing the slideshow in a very large window. I want you to make that slideshow window, the PowerPoint window, smaller. When you collapse the GoToWebinar control panel by clicking on that orange arrow that's standing out, so that the control panel is collapsed, you should then be able to make the PowerPoint window smaller. There you go.
Yeah.
Click on that. There you go. So now you want to show the control panel again, and now go to the play button, to the show my screen thing, and that down arrow, and choose the PowerPoint application.
Mod 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just pressed it.
What happened? When you go there again, you'll see multiple.
It's not changed anything.
Yeah, you'll see multiple instances of the PowerPoint application. choose the one that shows the entire PowerPoint application, not just the Mod 1 slideshow.
This one?
I can't see that, but yeah, that looks like it. Let's see here.
Let's see.
No. Well, really, no. It's all blue. The screen is all blue now.
Yeah, that's what I had.
That's
this
not
is the only one that I'm seeing.
Okay, that's not the right one. So go back to that show my screen pop-up and try the other one. Well, it shouldn't be the full screen. I mean, if this is the only way that you can get it now, then by all means, let's go get the show on the road and go with that. But I'll show you later.
I say we start with it and then we'll work with it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So let's make that happen with just this.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's start the presentation. I can start it since it's this. All right?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll mute myself.
Okay, here we go.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hello, 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 as Tim would say. And first of all, I want to apologize for the quick technical difficulties here. We've had, of course, our growing pains. We are however, getting this rolling right now. So with that being said, I want to just get started. And by the way, I want to welcome everyone on this call. I want to thank you for joining us. I see some really, some of the people that I've had a chance to talk to and some people that I haven't yet, but we will be able to talk in the near future. And so I wanted to say hello to all, to Elizabeth, to Jeff, to John, to Karen, to Murray, and the rest of you guys here. With that being said, let's go ahead and just jump on in. I see there's a quick question there. Hey Tom, how are you doing, man? Good to have you guys here. Let's go ahead and jump right in. First of all, what we're going to be doing, first of all, thank you so much for joining us in the Use Our Private Lenders wholesaling system, and welcome to the family. Welcome everyone. And as I said, first things first, if I can get this to switch. And I apologize for the delay here. I am trying to make sure that this PowerPoint will move for me. When we actually get this going, which will be in just a second, it will be well worth it. Thomas, I've stopped recording for a second, so if you can come on here for a moment, I'd like to make sure that this slideshow is going to actually go.
David, click on the PowerPoint window.
On the which button?
On the PowerPoint window.
Yes.
And then use your right arrow to navigate forward. No, right arrow. Get out of that. Right arrow key on your keyboard.
Got it. Excellent. And we'll do it that way.
Okay.
All right. Guys, you're getting to see the growing pains right here. This was a new presentation that we created, and getting this going was a little bit challenging, but we've got it going. So I hope you will excuse the couple of bumps. This will definitely be well worth it. here we go. As I said, welcome and thank you for joining us in the Use Our Private Lenders wholesaling system, and welcome to the family. This really is a revolutionary concept. This is such a revolutionary and breakthrough system that if you'll just put into action the tools and the skills that we will be teaching over the next few weeks, I'm extremely confident that you will have a successful business. With that being said, first things first. Let's go ahead and move on to the slide. First things first, as I said. We are going to, over the next 6 weeks, and we're going to have 2 bonus weeks, we'll be learning a lot of different things, and we'll be going over what this next 6 weeks is, and the bonus weeks is going to cover. Now, by now, you should have already received your membership info to the Private Money Wholesaler site, where we're going to place all the recordings and the replays for you to be able to access at your convenience. You're going to be able to go, so if you're on this call today, you're able to, of course, hear this live. But if you can't make it because of scheduling, then you can always go to the Private Money Wholesaler, and in your members area there is a section for the training modules and the Q&As. What I'm going to ask is over the next weeks and during the training, that as you receive the training, that you'll go into the members area. There's going to be a comments and questions section. I want you to, as soon as you have a question, I want you to go there and I want you to post it so that I can have access to those questions, make sure I can prepare a detailed and accurate answer for you. And also the benefit is, again, if you miss the Q&A section and the Q&A times, then you'll be able to go back in and listen to those in the recording, and your questions will be answered. So that is for your convenience, and we're looking forward to helping you in regards to that. Now, for the module overview, we're going to go over a number of items, and we're going to, by the time you're done, you will be an absolute private money expert. Now, week 1 is an overview. That's today. This is going to be an overview of private money and our private money system. Now, for those of you that are more advanced, trust me, even though we go over some elementary points, you will find some great nuggets. So you are definitely still going to get your money's worth. And we're still going to go over some items you will not hear anywhere else. Week 2 will be all about how to use our system to dominate your market and use our sources in getting paid. So it'll be all about the private money wholesaler system and how to use the Rolodex. Week 3 will be about how you can access your own sources of money that are already existing in your immediate area. As some of you know, I have a system that utilizes public records to be able to find all the money you need anywhere you go. And I'm able to make a very bold claim. And yes, we are giving you access to the Rolodex. We are giving you access to our sources. But I want to not only, as you've heard the saying, not only give you a fish, but I want to teach you to fish. I'm able to make a very bold promise and a very bold claim, which is you could put me in any area of this country, and within 1 week, 7 business days, I will have more than enough money at my disposal. I will have found more than enough money sources to do any deal I want to, and that's anywhere in this country. You can put me into Florida, you can put me into Texas, into Arizona, California, you can put me into Alaska. I've actually found private money in Alaska. As I said before, I don't know if they were trying to buy an igloo or something, but hey, the money's there, and I have access and I have the ability to find and to be able to access all the money I want to anywhere in the country, even from scratch. And I'm going to give you these tools that I use. Not only will I give you my database, not only am I giving you our Rolodex, and you're going to have access to our private lenders, but I'm going to teach you how to fish too, so that you're going to be able to access and you're going to have your own sources of already existing money, and we'll go over that as well. Week 4 will be how to build instant relationship and credibility to where the lenders are actually begging you to do deals with them. See, finding the money, building, finding the money, building your database and your stable is actually going to be the easy part. But as we've talked about before, when it comes to private money, you have to answer those two questions. What's my security and what's my return? And we'll be talking about that again in further detail to get a lot of the details on that so that you can absolutely build instant relationships to the point where you can actually start presenting deals practically immediately. If not on the first contact, you'll be able to do it by your second contact. And we're going to teach you how to speak the language of the private lenders. We're going to help you speak to their personalities so that they understand exactly what you're telling them, which is going to, again, add to your credibility, add to their comfort level with you, which is going to get deals done. Week 5 will be about setting up your business to supercharge your profits. Now, everybody understands that real estate should be a business, but most people don't treat it as such. Most people treat it almost like a hobby. And we're going to show you some tips, some tricks, some of the tools that I use, including my way that I set up my business office, the way that I set up my my calls, and the ways that I set up my ads, and the different things that we can do to literally supercharge the business, to make you more accessible to private lenders, to make you less accessible sometimes to borrowers that will waste your time. And yes, we will actually be talking about how to say no to deals. Guys, this is an important factor. You're going to realize there are so many deals out there, so many great deals out there, that there will always be more deals than money. And you're going to have the luxury of being able to pick and choose which deals you want to do and which deals you don't want to do. But we're going to show you how to set up your business to literally supercharge your profits. Week 6 will be about legal forms and about the legal aspect of things. And yes, we're going to have some special guests, including an attorney, an SEC attorney, who is going to be assisting us and giving us details and points of interest that will help us know what areas to step through and what areas not to step through, what things you can do as a private money wholesaler and things that you can't do. And there are some specifics that we will go into details on. We want to make sure that you are extremely profitable. We also want to make sure that you're extremely safe. So week 6 will all be about the legal aspect to us as a private money wholesaler, and it'll also be utilizing our forms. Bonus week 7. That's one of the bonuses that you received as part of the private money wholesaler system. This will be a case-by-case studies of deals that we've done that you can take apart and use to get more of your own deals done. We're going to show you how we profited from specific types of deals, what we did to set up partnerships, what we did to get paid up front. Yes, there are times that and there's going to be a point when your time is so valuable that you're going to charge up front an engagement fee for them to have the honor of doing business with you. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but you're going to realize that when you have access to the money, when you are the money person, the private money wholesaler, the one that has the most important aspect to doing deals, you're going to absolutely be in the catbird seat. You're going to have the luxury of choosing, and you're going to want to do what I call the low-hanging fruit first. You're going to want to do the deals that are just so easy that you can get them done in an hour or two, or by just making one or two calls, or by just making one quick submission to the Rolodex. You're going to know that, and we're going to show you, and some of these case studies will give you the ability to know, and that's one of the biggest parts about that, to know what's a good deal, to know how to structure it to make it a good deal, and how to make the most profit from that deal. That's all about week 7. And week 8 will actually be actual calls to private lenders, where you get to hear firsthand what a first contact is like and how to communicate with your lenders. All the stuff that we put into practice is going to come into effect in week 8. Week 8 is all about actually talking to the private lenders and getting business done. So that is going to be a really, really powerful week. So make sure that you stick with us through these weeks, that you understand and that you learn and that you take good notes. And I want you, as you are going through the education, as we're talking, as we're teaching, I want you to take great notes. I want you to get all of your questions together. Write down any questions, any point that you need explanation. There is no such thing as a stupid question. I'm sure you've heard that before, but I truly believe that. There's as elementary as you want it to be or as detailed as you want it to be, I'm more than willing to take all those questions. Make sure you have all those questions. Make sure you post them into the member section, in the comment section, and we will make sure that every single one of your questions is answered. Now, one of the things that you've heard from the beginning is that that you don't have to wait. You can actually start making money instantly, and that you don't have to wait till all 8 weeks are up before you start submitting deals. And that's absolutely true. You may submit your deals to support@dodeals.com. Now that's support@dodeals.com, and also please CC the deal to privatemoneywholesaler@gmail.com. That's privatemoneywholesaler@gmail.com. This is an email that I will be personally monitoring as the tickets come in through support. I will also be monitoring them, and I will also have my private money specialist monitoring those calls so that you can have, those deals, so that we can make sure that you are presenting it in the best way possible to get you the most bang for your buck. And at the end of this presentation, at the end of this module, I am going to go over what I want you to do and how I want you to present the deal, how I want you to structure it. For those of you that have that got the fast action bonuses, we will be posting the fast action bonus modules where you have like the template that is in place. You can use that. But even if you don't have the templates, we are going to show you I'm going to show you a very specific format that I want you to use in order to submit the deal. And if you don't have it perfect your first time, your second time, your 5th time, your 10th time, we will ask questions to make sure that we can get you the most clarification and the most bang for your buck, in other words, getting the deal funded. So with that being said, welcome everyone. I'm so excited to have you guys with us, and I'm looking forward to this journey that we're going to take and this incredible business venture that we're all going to be a part of. I'm so excited for you guys, and I'm so excited for what we're all going to accomplish together. So that being said, let me ask you a question. Now, I've already asked a number of you this question, but I want to make it clear. There are a number of you that are new to the business, and there are a number of you that are seasoned investors. And I would say, if I were to gauge it, that we're probably at about a 60-40 basis as far as people who are already skilled in real estate to people that are new to the business of real estate and new to private money. So 60% that I've found in my conversation are actually familiar with private money, but there's also almost half, 40% or so, are new to the business. So we are going to go over a few items that may seem elementary, but you're going to get a lot of nuggets in here too. So everybody pay attention. Now, one of the questions for you guys that are experienced in real estate, how many of you guys are currently missing out on deals because you don't know where to find the money? Because, and the truth is, you're not alone in the struggles. The biggest issue of all, as we've talked about before, is a lack of funding. And that's what this program is all about, solving that problem. Now, regardless of your experience, I will tell you that private money is the way to go. I've been doing this business for over 14 years. I've done almost 1,000 deals, and with the exception of one single institutional loan, I have only used private money, hard money, and creative financing. And by the way, when you use private money and creative financing together, you have got a 1-2 punch that is absolutely phenomenal. You will be able to do incredible things with that type of knowledge and that type of combination. But regardless of your system, regardless of your experience, whether it's wholesaling, probates, REOs, short sales, or anything like that, at some point you're going to encounter an obstacle that'll either make you or break you, and that is someone has to have the money to do the deal. This is the central concept behind real estate. Whether you do no money down deals, whether you understand, you know, there's so many courses out there that talk about no money down deals. But the bottom line is, whether you're a wholesale buyer or the end buyer, someone has to actually come up with the money to close the deal, or nobody gets paid. Not the seller, not the wholesaler, not the end buyer. Someone's got to come up with the money. There is an exchange of values. So what I'm going to teach you today, this is going to be the basic overview of private money and the basics of what you can learn about private money as well. And there are going to be some very important factors. We're going to talk about what private money is. And like I said, there are some people newer to the business, and this is important that we start with, as Lombardi would say, this is a football. Well, this is private money, and we're going to talk about what private money is. We're going to talk about the components of private money. We're going to talk about the 3 types of individuals who will be your ideal private lender candidates. This is a very important factor, and we've touched on it before in the bonus training. But we're going to go into detail, and we're going to show you a number of awesome ways that you can find them a lot more actionable than just what we talked about in the bonus training. This will be very powerful stuff. We're also going to talk about strategies on how to find and raise private and hard money. This is a very cool concept that you're going to learn that you will not hear anywhere else but me. I'm going to show you some tricks that nobody else is teaching on how to find and raise private money. And we're also going to talk about some other types of money as well. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and dive right in. What is private money? And the answer is, private money is individuals that have investable funds. Private money is moms and pops, is people that that come from every walk in life. They come from the professional side to they come from the worker side that have built up their retirement from working on a job. But as a result, they are individuals with enough of a net worth that they have investable funds. Now, this is an important fact for you to realize. There is so much money. There is literally over $1 trillion in funds right now that are sitting on the sideline, that are not making returns that they should be, that are just sitting either in accounts at the bank or maybe in CDs earning 1% to 2%, but are too scared to do any active investing. And this is an incredible, incredible asset that we can dig into that is going to make it, that's over $1 trillion. We have an almost unlimited amount of funds that are sitting on the sideline waiting for us to show them how that they can get and earn a safe, consistent return on their money. So hopefully you understand that private money is individuals, and it is not the same as hard money. That is an important factor for you to understand. Hard money is primarily institutional driven. Private money is private individuals. So components of private money. It is, as I said, it is individual based. It could be retirement accounts. I'm sure you guys have heard of self-directed IRAs or IRAs, individual retirement accounts. Also, and a lot of people don't realize this, you have an asset probably that's available to you right now that you could actually start lending with, or you could actually start investing with, and that's your 401k. 401ks can be turned into self-directed assets as well, and those are items that can be used to invest. So whether it's an IRA or a 401k, that is a very valuable tool. Investment funds, these are monies that are sitting in brokerage accounts, that are sitting in items like, for example, Merrill Lynch is a place that a lot of my private lenders have had their money stored. And as a result, that is an area that they can dip into. It's in the stock market, or it's in the bond market, or mutual funds, or whatnot, but they can actually access it. There are so many ways that people can access money to be able to invest with that most people don't think about. People can actually leverage other funds that they already have, for example, in the stock market, or in mutual funds, or in bonds, and they can actually monetize or borrow against it and earn higher dividends. And that's an area that you can absolutely benefit from in showing them how to do that. Bottom line, private money is relationship driven. You've heard me say in several areas, it all boils down to two questions. What's my security and what's my return? And of course, we've talked about it, that the security is not just the mortgage or the property. That is just the collateral. The security is that relationship and credibility that you are going to build with them, or that are already built. That is a huge and powerful point. If they like you, if they trust you, if they believe in you, then all you have to do at that point is provide them a good deal. Beyond that, if they don't like you, if they don't trust you, if they don't believe in you, then you could bring them the best deal in the world, 10 cents on the dollar, 1 cent on the dollar, and they probably will not fund the deal because they just don't trust you. So relationship is absolutely key. And guys, for those of you that don't know, that are new to the business, that say, I don't have that credibility, I don't have that ability to say because I don't have experience. Well, guess what? You are now part of the private money wholesaling group. You are part of my team. you can use my credibility. You can absolutely say, I am a part of a team that has done close to 1,000 deals. Our team has done everything from single family to multifamily to commercial. We just did a mobile home park in the last couple of months that we funded over $1 million. We've done a deal as large as $9.7 million. We've done a separate deal for $7 million. And when you hit those numbers, anytime you go over $5 million, the rest is just another zero. The $1 to $5 million range tends to actually be the hardest to fund because they're too big for the small guys and too small for the big guys. But we have funded those deals too. And so anytime you go beyond that $5 million point, we can absolutely help you, and that's not going to be a problem at all. Now, another point that we've talked about, and I want to make sure that we go into even further detail on, because we talked about them in the bonus training, but we only gave you one or two options for you to be able to access them. I want to give you some really great nuggets that can build you access to private lenders that you can develop. And we're going to talk about two different types of private lenders. There's public lenders. That's the type of lender that you can find through public records. Those are the type of lenders that will lend to you, but they'll also lend to someone else. Then there are what I call pocket lenders, kind of like a pocket listing with an agent or real estate agent. A pocket lender is a lender that only lends to you, that lends based on relationship. And as a result, you're able to do much more creative deals. You're able to negotiate much lower interest rates. You're able to negotiate much more open-ended terms as far as like the time frame of loan. Those are the type of people that will give you the money for 30 years with no balloon and stuff like that. And we will talk about both public lenders and pocket lenders. Pocket lenders are great for the long term, but public lenders will actually help you get deals done immediately. And that's what's so powerful about them. So you're going to have both, and we will talk about that. But the three types of individuals who will be ideal for you to go after as private lender candidates, if you remember, are business owners and professionals. Individuals who are already in the real estate business. And then, of course, retired business owners, professionals, and individuals who are already in the real estate business. The reason why those are so important, and I will go there before I talk about how to find some of them besides the ones that we've talked about before. Business owners, licensed professionals, and real estate professionals is the other way I like to describe that. And, of course, retired individuals that have done all of the above. Business owners are probably 90%, if not more, of my stable of private lenders. The reason why they're so ideal is because they understand risk and reward. They already think like we do. They're entrepreneurs. They started their own business or bought their own business, but they run a business. They think like we do. And so that is an important factor for business owners. Licensed professionals are so important because they also think differently than most people do. They understand the need usually based on their higher education. They understand their need to invest. They understand their need to diversify. And they certainly understand risk and reward. That's a very important factor. And the professionals, I'm sure you realize, they understand the power of real estate. And many times they'll understand creative financing and they'll understand owner financing, which is not far from private lending. So turning a owner financer into a private lender sometimes is very easy to do. But that being said, business owners, private professionals or licensed professionals, and real estate professionals also have one more thing in common, and that is that they have more often than not IRAs. These are the people that don't have a boss to look after their retirement. They are their own boss, and therefore they have to look out for their own retirement. So IRAs, which is, as we have just discussed before, very, very important to our business. That's going to be a very key tool. So let's talk about how to find these business owners and professionals. The DBPR, or the Department of Professional Regulations, of Business and Professional Regulations. Every state has them. Understand that every license and every business is moderated by the state or by the federal side of things. And the reason why is simply this, because they want to get paid. But because the government is involved, it's public record. And as a result, you have access to be able to see these things. Now, every state has, and it's usually going to be in the state site or in the business. The Department of Business and Professional Regulations is its own section. What they do is they moderate licenses. They moderate where what they do, the type of licenses they have. They continue to make sure that these people renew their licenses. They moderate if there are any complaints against the particular license or that particular individual, and all of that is something that you can add to your database. You have access to all those people that are willing and able, that are professional licenses. Also, on top of that, every license that I know of has an association from the attorneys, which is the Bar Association, from the doctors, the medical, the Doctors Association or the Medical Association, to plumbers and contractors, Contractors Association, even realtors, mortgage brokers, appraisers. All of these people have associations. And what most people don't know is you don't have to be a member. You don't have to have the license to become a sponsor for one of these associations. And as a result, you'll have access to that list and that database. But the Department of Business and Professional Regulations is a phenomenal area to get your list of licensed professionals. List services are also available if you want to use them. They can be used to build your database and to reach out to those type of individuals. But you have to make sure that you give them specific parameters. You have to make sure that you give list services specific licenses, specific types of people that you're looking for, because you don't want to just send out mailings or reach out to just anybody, because that's like the buckshot approach. You shoot as much buckshot out there and see what sticks. That's a waste of your time and efforts. If you narrow it down to the 3 types of people, and you narrow it down to specific types of licenses like doctors, attorneys, teachers, because teachers have teachers' funds, and they're great to work with. And items like that, you can definitely use list services. Now, I'm using, for example, this is in Florida, so, and you'll be able to see an example of how I use the website. But this is sunbiz.org, is the Florida Secretary of State site. Anywhere else in the country, every state has a Secretary of State, which is the department that handles corporations. Any corporation, just like licenses, any corporation that does business in that state, whether it's a corporation or an LLC or a limited partnership, any type of actual corporation, actual entity, has to be registered with the state that they're doing business in. Again, the reason for that is because they have to pay their taxes, and the government wants to get paid. But using the Secretary of State, you have a database of every single business that's doing business in your state. That's a phenomenal tool that you can use to build your database of private lenders. As we talked about, business owners are probably 90% of my database. You've heard me talk about this before. Your local Chamber of Commerce. If you have not joined your local Chamber of Commerce, you need to do so. There's a wonderful plethora of reasons that you can use your Chamber of Commerce to really build a database of private lenders, of pocket lenders that you can build very quickly. The reason why the Chamber of Commerce is so valuable is threefold. Number one, because with the Chamber of Commerce, you get a membership book, and that membership book is of all the business owners in your chamber that are members. This can become your database right there. On top of that, you have an incredible credibility aspect. That's the number two reason for the Chamber of Commerce. The credibility that you build as being a member of the Chamber. One of the most powerful things that I learned when I joined my chamber is that chamber members take calls from other chamber members. You're part of the club, so whereas if somebody else off the street or a different business person were to call and set up try to set up a meeting with the business owner at this point, and you called being a member, you would have a much better success rate of reaching and being able to set up that appointment. And that's because of the credibility factor, of the relationship factor that automatically happens. When you when you're a member, other members take notice, and other members will want to see you succeed, because that's what they want for themselves, is to have you help them succeed too. So the Chamber of Commerce is great for that. And the third reason, and probably the most important one, is that every chamber, at least once a month, if not more, will put on a networking event with the sole purpose of having you meet other business owners and to network with other business owners. And as you're networking with them, again, this is all for them to build their business, for you to build your business. And here's the elevator pitch that I would use when meeting with a potential client or meeting with anyone at your local chamber, at the functions. And this is the simple one that I use. When they ask me what I do, I give them my business card, and I say, I help business owners and entrepreneurs take control of their retirement and their investments to secure theirs and their family's future. That's what I do. Now, how's that for an entrance to get started, where they're going to want to ask you for more information? That's a conversation starter if ever I heard one. My job is to help business owners and entrepreneurs take control of their retirement and investments so that they can secure their future and that of their families. Very powerful for you to use. And what that is all about is benefits. You've heard about, I'm sure you've heard about sales. If you're at all familiar with sales, people buy on benefits, not features. So I'm a real estate investor. That's a feature. I'm a private money wholesaler. That's a feature. The benefit is I help business owners and entrepreneurs take control of their retirement and their investments to secure theirs and their family's future. That's the benefit, and people will gravitate towards that. So we've talked about how to find business owners and licensed professionals. Let's talk about individuals that are already in the real estate business. Your local real estate investor association is a very powerful tool to get to know the players in the market. Now, when you go to a local RIA, not everybody is going to be doing business. In fact, I would say probably 5 or 10% are doing all the deals, and the rest, the 80 or the 90 or 95%, are just there for the fun of it, practically, or just to get started. And there's definitely value in that too. What I say is that you should look for the silverbacks. Now, that is my version, and that's my way of calling the grizzled old real estate investor. That's actually a guerrilla term. If you've ever heard of a tribe of apes and such, the head of that group is the silverback. And so, yes, I am saying that most of us real estate investors are a bunch of apes. And but we're looking for the silverback. The silverback is the actual veteran in the room. And you'll always recognize the veteran because he is the person that is surrounded by all the new guys. He's the one surrounded by all the younger investors. And he's telling all about his war stories. And he's the one with all the scars as a real estate investor. But that is a very powerful tool for you to use. When you talk to those silverbacks, they probably know most of the players that are actually doing it. They probably have the access to some of these contacts that you're looking for. And remember what we talked about? What if you don't have credibility of your own? Well, you get to borrow other people's credibility. We talked about how you can borrow mine. But the power of referral is such a valuable commodity. And you can use the silverback or the veteran investor in the room to be your referral. And when they refer you, that makes all the difference. Now, you may at times have to share a piece of the deal or give them a finder's fee, but especially as you're paying your dues, it's well worth it. Owner financers, you've heard me talk about this earlier. It's not that different than private lending. The only difference between an owner financer and a private lender is the owner financer is lending on his own home. The private lender is lending on other homes. Well, the way that you benefit and the way that you talk to an owner financer and get them interested in doing business as a private lender for you is as a deal source. You let them know that you are doing deals, that you are providing them deals, in this case as a private money wholesaler, that many times are going to be 50 cents on the dollar or better. When they look at them, they're looking at them from a very common sense standpoint. Would I buy this property for the loan amount? And if that answer is yes, then they're very likely to do the deal. So owner financiers can be a very valuable commodity. This is something you will not hear anywhere else. For real estate professionals, there's no better source for private money. I have converted more mobile home park owners into private lenders than probably almost any other category. And the reason why is this. Number one, mobile home park owners understand the power of real estate. They're investing in it. They're investing in true real estate for cash flow, which brings me to the second part. Mobile home park owners understand cash flow. The only reason you buy a mobile home park is for cash flow. You're not buying it for a appreciation. You're not buying it for the value of the mobiles or even the land. You're buying it because you like cash flow, because the income that can be generated on a mobile home park is absolutely phenomenal. By the way, a side venture that could work just as well as mobile home parks are self-storage owners. For the same reason, they understand cash flow, and they understand the power of real estate. But back to the mobile home park owners, the third reason why mobile home park owners make such great private lenders is because they understand creative financing. Understand that mobile home parks by themselves, in and of themselves, tend to be resistant to institutional financing because they're mobile home parks. Most banks don't want to lend on them. So in order for them to actually buy it, more times than not, they have to use creative financing, owner financing, and different tools like that to buy the park in the first place. So it's not that much of a stretch for you to teach them about how you do creative financing. So mobile home park owners are a phenomenal resource. You can go through the list services, or again, guys, every county has a database of every single property in that county. Every single property in that county. And the reason why they have that database is because they want to charge taxes. But again, because the government's involved, that's public records, and we have access, we have the right to full access to that database. So you can go to your county assessor's office or appraiser's office and ask them for a list of every single mobile home park in the county, and they will give it to you. Guys, that's where the list brokers get their lists from, is from the counties and from the assessor's office. You can go there and get it many times for free. And if you pay a little bit, it's not that expensive. But many times it'll be free. But you can get a search done for you of all the mobile home park owners. On top of that, you can also go, the other person beyond the mobile home park owner is the person who sold that mobile home park to the current owner. Why? Because they understand the same things that the current mobile home park owner does, but they also receive the cash for selling the property. Now keep in mind, you're not looking for truly active investors. When we talk about real estate professionals and people who are already doing the business, we're not looking for truly active ones. We're looking for the semi-retired guy. We're looking for the guy who's kind of bringing it down. Because if you're actively doing business in this market, you probably aren't that interested in funding somebody else's deal when you can do your own. But where that can come in handy is they are very well likely to partner on deals, because that's another deal. So if you want to deal with active people, you can talk about partnerships. But if you're looking for private lenders, you want to go for the closer to retired group. As I mentioned, we talk about the previous seller of the park, and that's a phenomenal resource. Again, you go to your assessor's office, you get the list of the mobile home parks, and you just check to the previous owner, and they're a phenomenal resource as well. They probably have amassed a great retirement, and that's an ideal category for you to go after. I would say the average age of my private lenders is 60 to 65 years old, and some of them go into the 70s and such, but I have very few private lenders that are under 50. There are a few, but most of them are going to be in the 60s and 65s. That's why I say keep in mind that you're not looking for necessarily the active ones, but the semi-retired guys. And the other reason for that is because they've had time to build up their IRAs or their retirements, which means more money for them to lend out. This one is one of the most powerful things that you can do. I'm going to tell you there are two questions that almost every real estate investor, and I'm talking to you guys now both as private money wholesalers, and we're going to go into that aspect a lot more, but right now in the overview of private money, I want you to get it from both aspects of private money wholesaler in raising capital, but also as real estate investors, which you have to understand both sides to really be able to do this business. So that being said, whether you're providing the loan for the deal or whether you are actually buying the deal, your seller is probably one of the most important sources that 99% of the investors out there fail to look at as a possible source. Let me tell you, there are two questions that, as I said, 99% of the real estate investors out here do not ask. There's two questions that they don't ask, and as a result leave hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table, at the closing table. The number one question is, drum roll please, it's, do you have anything else to sell? Do you have anything else to sell? What else you got to sell? See, right now you're at the top of their credibility list. You have made them money. You've actually closed a deal for them, and you have provided them a check. They're standing there with a check in their hand, and you ask them that question, do you have anything else to sell? I'll tell you that mobile home park, there's a mobile home park we just bought in November, and I asked him that question, do you have anything else to sell? He said, no, actually, at this moment I don't, but I had 5 parks, and this is the last one I'm selling. Imagine if I had gotten to him 1 year earlier. I could have bought at least 2 or 3 of the other parks for the same terms as I did this one, which was absolutely phenomenal. And we'll be going into it in the case studies in week 7. But that would have been absolutely phenomenal. And there are plenty of other times when I do ask that question, and the answer is yes. Or at the very least, I have a referral for you. The second question, and just as important, is what are you going to do with all that money you just made? Now, it seems simple, but most people forget to ask those questions. You are at the absolute height of your credibility and relationship with this person. You just made them a lot of money. Guess what? What's this business all about? What's my security? What's my return? We provided them a return already, which added to our credibility. What's our security? It's the relationship, and we've just built on that. They're a raging fan of ours. They're holding a check. You don't get a better point of credibility. So when you ask at that point, they are all ears, and in many instances, they will absolutely become a private lender or a pocket lender for you. So guys, remember to ask that, whether you're providing the loan or whether you're doing the deal. You should always check with the seller to find out what else they have to sell and if they would be interested and what they're going to do with the money. But of course, we've talked about all those things, and that takes a little bit of work, and we want instant gratification now, so we'll talk about that. We're going to go into detail on this further. I believe that's week 3, but I'm going to talk about a little bit on public records. Every investor, every private money wholesaler should understand public records, because that is one of the most powerful tools that you can have as an investor, as a private money wholesaler. Public records are an incredible tool. One thing that you could do, just to give you an example of how powerful this access can be, hang out at your courthouse steps during foreclosure sales. Hand out your card, and more importantly, get theirs. Find out who they are. There's 2 reasons why you can do this. Number 1, handing out your card, getting their card. These are people that are going to need money sooner or later. If they're using money, private money, or if they're using their own cash, they're going to need more sooner or later, and this is going to be an absolute gold mine for you to build business. But on top of that, you can get the foreclosure sales sheet, and that's another thing I want you to do. Not just hand out your cards and get their cards, but you can get a copy of the foreclosure sign-in sheet of all the people at the courthouse steps. And when you do, you're going to be able to get their information, do name searches in public records. You'll actually be able to find out if they're cash buyers. You'll be able to find, if they are, guess what? That's a very possible partnership aspect that we can go into. Remember, private money wholesaling, it's about private money lending. It's about partnerships. It's about doing your own deals. And so these are definitely avenues that you can reach out to. So the cash buyers can become either partnership contacts or they're going to need money themselves. The other thing is that if they're doing private money, when you look up their name in public records in the clerk of courts or the register of deeds, you'll be able to find out who they're borrowing from. Wow, that could be amazing, because I would say at the steps, you're looking at about a 50-50 shot. Some of them are going to be cash buyers, and some of them, many of them, are going to be using private money, and by looking their name up, you're going to see who they're borrowing from. That is absolutely phenomenal for building your database really quick. Again, another thing you can do is a search through your property appraiser for recent multifamily sales. Why multifamily sales? Because if you're buying a multifamily property, you are an investor. I don't care if you're buying a duplex to live in one side and stay in the other, and rent out the other. You're an entrepreneur. You're definitely using this as a entrepreneur business. But if you're buying multifamily, you're usually going to be, well, you're definitely an investor, and many times you're going to be using private money. You can actually do a name search on all those property buyers and see who they're borrowing from. Again, probably about a 50-50 shot. 50% of them will use their own cash. The other 50 are borrowing from private lenders. And again, that Secretary of State can be an absolutely phenomenal resource. Every state, all you have to do for your area is look up in Google Secretary of State, California, Secretary of State, Oregon. And for each of the states, you will pull up a Secretary of State. And I would say almost every single one of them has an online database that you can actually research. And I'm going to show you how you can do some things right now to get immediate access to some private lenders to start your business. This right here is an actual picture of sunbiz.org, or the Florida Department of State, the Secretary of State, the Division of Corporations. And right here, this is the website, and I can actually search their database. So I'm clicking on the link, search our database. When I do, the option comes to inquire by name, by registered agent, by trademark, and so many other options. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to inquire by name. Now this is something, and I want you to catch this. This is one of the coolest things. Guys, most people have not, when it comes especially to the real estate business, most of us real estate investors and most of us guys that have to do with real estate and private money do not have any sense of creativity. If you deal in real estate, guess what? You put it in your name. You got real estate investors. You've got home investors. You've got property solutions. You've got all these other names, so many names that that private lenders, or sorry, that real estate investors always include that in their name. What they do, real estate, or investing, or property investing, or tax deed investing, they always include it in their name. Well, the same thing applies to private lenders. Private lenders do the same thing. If they deal with private money, whether they're a broker, whether they're the actual lender, whether they're hard money, they include the word private money or private lender or any variation thereof into their name. So that being said, take a look at this. I went ahead and I searched by name, and I'm doing a keyword search. I'm just going to type in the word private lender into the name search. And when I do, take a look at that. Private Lender Inc., Private Lender Network, Private Lender Services, Private Lender USA. These are guys, would you say Private Lender Services has anything to do with private money? I'd say so. And it could be just, it doesn't have to be just private lender. It could be private lending. It could be private money. It could be hard money. Do a name search with any of these options. Private mortgage. You'll find more private money than you know what to do with. And these guys are, I know a lot of you guys are going to ask the question about SEC. These guys are in business as private lenders. This is a matter of public record that these guys are in private lenders. This is like going through a Yellow Pages. Would you call the SEC when you looked up Yellow Pages to do business with a mortgage company? No. Same thing here. This is an actual business with the purpose of doing private lending. And as a result, you can absolutely call them and you can absolutely start pitching deals from day one. But keep in mind, it's still about the relationship. It's still about the security. As you can see, the Private Lending Inc. We did one private lending group. In fact, I pulled this up today. And I want to just see, when you actually click on it, you can actually see the name. If you scroll down, you'd be able to see the address, the principals. You'd even be able to see many times the contact information. So that being said, I wanted to go over quite a few things, and I hope you're getting a lot of information out of this. I wanted to do an overview that was going to give you an idea on what private money was, what its components were, and how you could do some finding of private money. We went through a lot of the same stuff that a lot of other private money courses would go through, but I wanted to give, we still had a lot of nuggets through there, and I want you to grasp those nuggets. I want you to definitely grasp the basics behind private money. We're going to go into a lot more depth over the next little bit. That being said, as I mentioned, you're not going to have to wait the entire time before you start submitting deals to our group. About what you do. In your members area, you'll find a menu item called Deal Submissions. Follow the instructions there. Basically, you're going to submit your deals to support@dodeals.com. And also, please CC the deal to privatemoneywholesaler@gmail.com. This is what I want you to include when you actually present the deal. I want you to be sure to include the address along with the value of the property, along with supporting factors. For example, now you don't have to do an appraisal unless the private lender specifically asks for an appraisal. which I'm going to tell you 9 times out of 10 will not happen. In fact, probably 99 times out of 100, you won't have to get an appraisal done, because we have a very specific way that we have these private lenders to think about doing deals. And it's not really based on appraisal. But I still want supporting factors. You can use Zillow. You can use Trulia. Bank of America, if you go on to Bank of America's website, you can go to private banking, and there is an option there to allow you to find out what your house is worth. Well, that's another evaluation system very similar to Zillow and Trulia, probably a little more conservative. But we like that because we want to make sure that it's a no-brainer deal. So you can use the Bank of America site to do that. Definitely tax assessor's value. If that property can definitely show, and it'll help support your cause in regards to the tax assessor site, that's one of the best ways that you can give them a supportive value. So the tax assessor site and the tax assessor's value. Possibly, if you want to, one way you can do that is by actually providing a link to the assessor site with that particular property's value. That would not hurt. Same thing for the Zillow and the Trulia site. You can actually, when you pull up the specific property, if you copy and paste that link into your email to us, that will take us directly to that property's valuation. So that's another useful tool. I also want you to include a summary of the deal. Now, nothing fancy. I just want an explanation of the deal along with the loan request and the exit strategy. That is very important that you include the exit strategy. So the summary could be the borrower is looking to buy the duplex for blank amount, $25,000. The property is tax assessed at $65,000, so it's a very safe deal. The borrower intends to fix it up with about $5,000 and intends to rent it out for about a year and then turn around and refinance it. That's an exit strategy, and that's fine as long as they can actually do it. But you want to include the exit strategy. That is going to be very important in presenting a deal. And finally, be sure to include pictures of the property. That is a very important factor because when the private lenders look at these deals, they want to actually see the house or see the property that they're looking at lending on. So if you can get pictures to the property, that will be very, very useful. If anything is needed beyond that, we'll be sure to let you know on a case-by-case basis. So again, make sure you send the deal to support@dodeals.com and CC privatemoneywholesaler@gmail.com. Make sure that you include the address, the value, along with supporting factors. And again, you don't need to include an appraisal. Make sure you include a summary of the deal. Nothing fancy, just an explanation. Make sure that the summary includes the loan amount, the loan request that we're looking for, and the exit strategy. And make sure you include pictures. Now, there's one trick that I'm going to give you right now, and it's going to be the basis. Everything that we're going to teach, everything that we're going to do in regards to building credibility, building relationship, knowing what a good deal is, it's all going to boil down into 3 parts. Everything we're going to teach falls into 3 categories. Remember the 2 questions. That's category 1 and 2. What's my security? What's my return? The third one is this. I want you to look at every single deal as if it's your own money. If you look at it as if it's your own money, then you're going to be you're going to be safer with the deal. You're going to be safer with the money because it's your money. And in actuality, it practically is. Because understand this, your relationship with the private lender, even though we've built up the relationship, even though we've built up the credibility, it's only as good as your last deal. If you give them a deal that does not make sense, they fund it, and they get hurt, they're not going to want to do business again. So think of this as your own money. And then ask yourself a very simple question. Would I be willing to buy this property or take over this property for the loan amount? If the answer is yes, then that's the loan that you should be pursuing. That's a loan that you should go after. If the answer is no, I don't care how good the exit strategy is. I don't care how good the credit report is. It's a dangerous loan. You shouldn't be doing it. You should turn that deal away. Because in the end, the deal is, like we said, for them, the buying decision or the lending decision is the what's my security and what's my return. But don't forget, the property is the collateral. So in a worst-case scenario, you realize that the private lender ends up with the property. And imagine what security you'd be able to provide them if you were, and I'm not saying you have to say this, but I do, because I'm also a real estate investor, and I like doing deals as well. I say this, God forbid something happens and they don't pay their bill, I would be happy to take over that property for the loan amount that you have. Guess what happened? I got a deal, and I've added huge security to that private lender because he knows that he's not going to be stuck with the property. So think about that always. Make sure that you're asking yourself, as if it's your own money, would I do this deal? Would I buy this property? Would I take over this property for the loan amount? If you'll do that, you're going to get most of your deals funded because you're going to go after those deals that make sense. And that's the real key. So that being said, I hope you have enjoyed your time with us. We'll definitely go into much further detail on this, but that will get you further than anything else. That will get you started where you can start submitting your deals. So I want you to go ahead. I want you to start submitting them, and I do want to see you active on this because that's where you're going to make your money. Make sure you, I know there's some of you that have already reached out. You've actually said, hey, I've got deals. We're ready to get funded already. That's phenomenal, and that's what I want you to do. I want you to get out there. I want you to promote yourself. I want you to start receiving these deals. I want you to start looking at it as if you have the money. And I want you to ask yourself that question. And let's get some of these deals funded. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to Thursday. I want you to write down questions. In fact, I want you to get your questions down. Any points that you needed further information on, if you didn't understand something, if you needed clarification on something, if you have a question, please send them to me before Thursday. And you can start emailing me right now at privatemoneywholesaler@gmail.com with your specific questions. I will try and answer them immediately. Since we're just on the ground floor here, I think that it's safe for me to say that I will be able to actually reach out to you, to many of you personally, and I will try and do that. But that being said, we will at least make sure that we have questions to answer on Thursday. Thursday will be the same time, as I say, the same bat time and same bat channel. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for your time. If you have any questions, if you want to reach out to me before then, please do. Send your questions, send your request for information to to privatemoneywholesaler@gmail.com, and of course support@dodeals.com. Support@dodeals.com is where the technical questions are going to be answered, and I will try and respond to the content questions and the private money questions. I know one of the questions is how soon will this module be posted up, and the answer is as soon as it's rendered, which I hope it to be actually up and in the members area as soon as tonight or at the latest tomorrow. Well, thank you so much, guys, and I look forward to Thursday.
The organizer